Today we are going to discuss on another topic, that is the minorities in Pakistan. Before we will move towards our actual topic, that is the minorities in Pakistan, let's have a brief introduction of minorities. What type of community should be called minority? Or how you can define minority? This is really a difficult question. Since now the international legal system or the international legal framework have not set any ground criteria, some ground rules or universally accepted rules for considering a community as minority or majority. However, we do have a definition that comes from the UN subcommittee on the human rights that we will discuss within this block. But generally speaking, the international legal framework does not have any clearly defined or a well universally accepted definition for minorities. The UN Subcommittee on Human Rights has defined minority as a group of citizens of state consisting of numerical minority and a non-dominant position in a state endowed with ethnic, religious or linguistic characteristics which differ from those of majority of the population, having a sense of solidarity with one another, motivated, if not implicitly, by a collective will to survive and whose aim is to achieve equality. Now, if we'll see the definition given by the UN Subcommittee on Human Rights, they consider such a community as a minority if it is numerically minority, that they are numerically few in the state. Second, if they are non-dominant position, if they are not in a dominant position, they are few in number and they are not in a dominant position. If they are few in number and if they are in a dominant position, then still we can't consider that community as a minority. They should be less in number and they should be in a non-dominant position in state. That is the first criteria. And secondly, they should belong to a specific ethnic, religious or linguistic characteristics. That is, they should belong to a special ethnic group, a special religious group or a special linguistic group. That is the second criteria. And their group should differ from that of majority population. That is, it should be different from the majority. That's the third criteria. And they set another fourth criteria, a mandatory condition for that. That is, they should have a sense of solidarity and they should be motivated to achieve, to survive collective life and to achieve equality. If these conditions are fulfilled regarding any community, we can call that community as a minority. That is, they should be less in number and they should be in a non-dominant position and they should endowed with ethnic, religious or linguistic characteristics, and their characteristics, that their ethnic characteristics or religious characteristics or linguistic characteristics must be different from that of the majority population, and that small community must have sense of solidarity and they should be motivated for collective survival. That is, they should be motivated to survive in their different position, which the position which is a non-dominant and consists of a very few people, and they should endure to survive collective survival and should aim to achieve equality in the entire nation, keeping their different identity. Then we will call that group as a minority. This is the definition given by the UN Subcommittee on Human Rights. Now come to the minorities in Pakistan and the minorities and the Constitution of Pakistan. That is how the Constitution of Pakistan is dealing with minorities. Before we will discuss some basic clauses of the Constitution that are more specifically about the minorities, it should be clear that the minorities are clearly defined in Pakistan, since the Constitution of Pakistan clearly defines Muslims. who are in majority in Pakistan. According to the constitution, whoever believes on the unity of God and the finality of the Muhammad, peace be upon him, he is considered as a Muslim. And if anybody does not subscribe to this belief, he is not a Muslim according to the constitution of Pakistan. So in this way, the constitution of Pakistan clearly define minorities, and all constitutions of Pakistan do have provisions that protect minority rights, including the objective resolution. There was a clause in objective resolution as well about minorities, when it was said that rights of minorities shall be protected. And the Constitution of 1973 also specifically protect the rights of minorities. For example, the Article number 25 of the Constitution of 1973 clearly says that all citizens are equal before law. There is no discrimination in front of law about with respect to color, creed, caste, or whatever. All citizen, everyone, whoever is a citizen of the Pakistan, he is equal before law. And again, Article number 26(1) also says that there shall be no discrimination in respect of access to public place or resort. So if there, let's see, for example, there is a park in your vicinity, everybody is allowed to go there. You could not have, or law does not discriminate people, and you won't be able to restrict anybody on the basis of his religion, caste, creed, that the only Muslims are allowed or only non-Muslims are allowed. You can't say this. Everybody is allowed to go there. And the Article number 27(1) provide the protection of discrimination for the appointment in service of Pakistan if he shall qualify it. That's the Article number 27(1) of the Constitution of 1973, say that there should be no discrimination for the appointments in both armed services as well as in civil services. Obviously, this is the criteria that if he or she is qualified, he should be appointed. And now Article number 36. This article is more specifically about minorities in Pakistan. But before we will discuss that article, let me make you clear that the Article number 36 is of part 2 of the chapter number 2. Chapter number 2 that deals with the principles of policy. And this chapter number 2 is actually non-operative part of the Constitution. Non-operative part of Constitution is such a part that is only operated if the resources are available, if the financial conditions of the country allows the government machinery to make this portion operative, then this portion become operative. Otherwise, it is non-operative. So anyhow, the Article number 36 says that the state shall safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of minorities, including their due representation in provincial and federal services. That is, it is the responsibility of state to protect the rights and interests of minorities regarding their representation in provincial services as well as in federal services. But again, this is the part of this article belongs to non-operative part of the Constitution, so it's not binding on the state. It depends upon the resources. If resources are available, then this part become operative, otherwise it's non-operative. Anyhow, it's said in the Constitution that state shall protect the legitimate rights and interests of minorities, including their due representation in provincial and federal services. Thank you for joining. Take care. Goodbye.